One of the factors that makes Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel fantastic shows is its characters. There are characters that we grew up with and live on in our memories. We have our favourite Buffy and Angel characters, but then we get the characters we don't like so much, or even despise. With the universe Joss Whedon created, where could he go wrong? Well, I guess every writer makes some mistakes by adding in a character no one cares about, or just wish never came onto the show. Since Joss Whedon and other writers that created some of the characters have made hardly any mistakes with their character creations, here is my top 10 list, least to worst Buffy characters. No, I won't be putting Principal Schneider or Maggie Walsh on this list, because they are intentionally unlikable. These are characters but I have the least positive things to say about them, to those that I can't stand as characters and needed improvements. In case I upset any of you that like the characters on the list, I will try to find positive sides to each character. So, let's get started. Number 10. Xander. Okay, before any of you outraged Xander fans start sending me hate mail, let me explain. I do like Xander to an extent. He is funny at times and does represent the everyman type of character. A character that is normal and has no powers, but has his own normality to survive situations. One episode you might want to watch is Zeppo, which strongly focuses on Xander and shows why he's an important character. He can be a hero too, like Buffy, despite him having no superhuman abilities. Now that I've got my positive sides about Xander out the way, it's time for the negatives. At times, I do find his quips and jokes kind of annoying.
That guy just bugs me.
But that's just how I feel about him when I watch him on screen. There are many times I don't like his attitude when he acts tough, and especially when he was jealous of Angel because he won Buffy's heart. Then again, I guess Xander becoming assertive and acting jealous is pertaining to the human character he is and why so many relate to him. Any other negatives I have with Xander? Well, he did break 2 women's hearts, which made me feel bitter towards him. But hey, I guess one thing Xander does prove, no one's perfect. Which is why Xander makes number 10 on this list. As I said before, can be really funny, does have its moments, but can be annoying for me at times.
Never knowing which thought might be your last.
Oh, shut up.
Thank you, Giles. Number 9. Andrew. Yeah, I guess because I put Xander on the list, I should put Andrew on this list too. But do I personally dislike him? No, I don't. He's okay in my book. He does portray the more stereotypical nerd. He's more passive in confrontations, and does make many pop culture references that nerds we might have known often do.
You ever see the movie Misery?
6 times. But the book was scarier than the movie because instead of crushing his foot with a sledgehammer, Kathy Bates chops it off with...
Some people's take on Andrew would find him annoying, which I do view as a positive side, because it's the way some react towards nerds. Initially, a member of the trio who targeted Buffy to becoming an ally of Buffy, to now a member of the newly established Watchers Council, still hasn't lost his characteristics, as I hope he never does. I even like his sense of imagination, how he views the world around him, as we see when he makes a documentary in one of the season 7 episodes. I guess I'm saying too many positive things about him, but why is he on this list anyway? He doesn't wow me as a character. I guess I prefer Jonathan as a nerdy character, but it's a shame he died. So yeah, Andrew is okay as a character to me, so okay, he's one of my least favourite characters. Number 8. Tara. When she entered the series, she was this shy girl who becomes close to Willow and begins a relationship with her. My take on Tara there, I didn't think much of her. She doesn't light up the set for me and doesn't deliver one-liners. I guess my original reception of her was, I don't like Tara, she's boring. But as the episodes progressed, my mind about her changed completely. She started to develop as a character, becoming more assertive and certain of herself. When Willow was clearly relying on magic to solve all problems, Tara would not be afraid to talk to Willow about her disapproval and concern. In a sense, Tara was the light in Willow's soul to save her from the plunge into madness and self-destruction. One thing that did blow me away about Tara, well, it's more to do with the actress herself, Amber Benson. She blew me away with her singing voice in the musical episode, Once More a Feeling. Are there any negatives I have with Tara? Well, none personally, but it did take me a while to grow into her as a character. Maybe that was the intention to begin with. I will admit, I was bummed when she was killed off. She was getting to the point where she was more developed. So why is she on this list? Well, I'm sure if the character lived a little longer, she would have become more interesting. In conclusion, I do like Tara in general, but just not one of my favourites, as I do have respect for her run on the show, and at least she got a place on the intro for her last episode. Number 7. Anya. I know that by now I might have angered a lot of fans, and I'm sure they are pissed that this beloved character is on my list. Okay, again, I do like Anya, but just not one of my favourites. Let's talk a little bit about her. She appeared in season 3 as a vengeance demon who would lose her powers and become human. So what is it I do like about her? She's funny, and just like Xander, she has her moments. I do love how unfamiliar she is with how human life works, and how to appropriately communicate. Her inappropriateness does lead to comical moments.
Please go.
And when certain words come out wrong, like in the scene when Tara is crazed and hospitalized.
I don't think I can sleep without her. You can sleep with me?
She has a phobia of rabbits, which is entertaining, especially when she dresses up as one for Halloween. Another thing about Anya I praise is her performance in Once More a Feeling. I would say Tara and Anya draw with their performances, but Anya impresses me just a little bit more. She has great energy and material to work with. I'm glad that the deleted scene was played in season 7, where she performs a musical number. What are the flaws I have with Anya as a character? I guess I don't like her rudeness and attitude when it's intentional. Of course there are times when I do feel Anya goes too far with her anger and does wrong, but that goes for other characters as well. So yeah, I do like Anya to some extent, but I'm not among her fans.
Oh, I'm so pleased. Can I trade in the children for more cash?
Number 6. Connor. Those that didn't follow Angel season 3 to 5 would not know who he is. Well, he's Angel's son. He's a miracle child, born by 2 vampires as part of a prophecy. In the later episodes of season 3, he's a baby, but near the end of the season, he's rapidly aged into a teenager. As you can guess, he holds a grudge against his dad, and has a father and son battle, like we get with many stories. So many seem to dislike Connor, and I'm with them on that. I guess it might be because of his hostility towards Angel. There is a more reasonable gripe I have with Connor. It's more to do with his concept. Connor is the way he is, which is understandable. He was brought up in a harsh environment, and was influenced by one of Angel's enemies. We see him do heroic deeds, but never gets full appreciation for it, which I'll admit makes him sympathetic. But then we see him revert back into his old ways, when he's manipulated by the villain of season 4, Jasmine, who has possessed Cordelia's body. By this point, I don't know if Connor was created to be sympathetic or unlikable. We understand what a weak-minded character he is, and the loving childhood he was cheated out of, but the thing is, do we forgive him for the evil he participated in, and the fact he's a whiny teenage character like Robin? In my opinion, the attempt the writers made to try and make Connor a sympathetic character wasn't executed well. I hoped he would pull himself together and took the life lessons Angel taught him into account, but no, he just acts stubborn the whole time. So yeah, maybe a memory alteration was just what he needed to try and set his mind straight and give him the family love he should have been entitled to. Connor overall to me is a flawed tragic character that I think needed some improvements.
I love you, Connor. Now get out of my house.
Number 5. Kennedy. Whenever a Buffy fan was questioned which Buffy character they hate, many would say Kennedy. You might be thinking I'm jumping on the bandwagon here, but no. I did in fact watch all of season 7, which is where she made the first appearance. After watching the season, I thought of some reasons to put Kennedy on this list. Kennedy is a potential slayer, girls that will inherit the power once an active slayer dies. 3 initially arrived and one of them was Kennedy, who turned out to be the most experienced and confident out of the other 2. As far as the development goes in the season, she does develop a romantic interest for Willow, so where do my flaws with Kennedy come in? Let's compare to what others complain about her. Bossy? Well, yes, she does have a go at trading the potentials, and does show some sadistic enjoyment when doing it. Arrogant? She does seem to talk back at Buffy. Of course, she has her say when all the potentials and other allies turn against Buffy. Annoying? Well, that's really open for debate. Most of the hate I know is personal, but what's my own gripe with Kennedy? Mine has to be forced. To me, Kennedy is a bit of a forced character. The actress herself did a decent job with her performance to give the character life and a personality, but I guess her own self-confidence and determination was something the fans hated. Joss Whedon created her to be the anti-Tara, and she was, but the reaction didn't go down well with fans. So, do I hate Kennedy? No, I just don't like her enough, and that's why she's number 5 on this list.
I can get used to this.
Number 4. Gru. I feel I'm being unfair here to a character that didn't get much screen time on the whole Angel TV series. Before I explain the problems I have with him, let's talk about his background. He was this humanoid character from another dimension called Pylea, and was known as Grusalog, the Undefeated, but is called Gru for short. He is, as we see, a formidable warrior who acts Shakespearean and theatric, like a White Knight type of character. What was his purpose on the show? Well, his purpose was one of my problems with him. He was there to be an obstacle for the chances of Angel and Cordelia becoming a couple. Cordelia would grow fondness for Gru, and would depart Pylea, saying farewell to him. Gru would later reunite with Cordelia, leaving Pylea for Earth, and again, Angel lost his chance to profess his love for Cordelia. It was interesting when Angel became envious of Gru, which does result in some comical moments.
That's my favorite broadsword. It'll be fine.
Later on, it became obvious that Cordelia was truly in love with Angel, and that was when Gru would leave Cordelia, and that's the last we would see of him. Is him being an obstacle the only thing I dislike about him? Well, that would be more of a personal dislike I have for him, and not really reasonable. To give him credit, he does have some comical traits, like how he misunderstands the human world, sort of like Anya, but less fun. One part that I did find funny and sort of charming was when he went to a demon brothel with Angel. He saw a man in bondage, which he thinks is being held prisoner, and tries to release him. Gru may be a nice guy and does show signs as a loyal ally, but unfortunately for me, just lacks the appeal to want him on the show.
Angel, your weapons are most impressive.
Thanks.
Number 3. Adam. One thing that most of us fans liked about Buffy was the big bads for each season. There are great ones and some passable ones, but if one big bad that I think is the worst, or at least the weakest in terms of character development, is Adam, the big bad of season 4. Adam is this demon human cyborg assembled with many demonic and robotic parts who is the Initiative's secret weapon. I will admit that when we get to see him for the first time, he did look promising and a powerful opponent Buffy would have to fight. But when he came to life, I was sort of let down as his appearances progressed throughout the season. I'll get the positive things out of the way first. He does look cool and badass, with an assortment of arsenal, and does prove a hard opponent for Buffy. He even has some good lines, especially when he has his scene with Spike, when they made a deal.
The chip comes out, yeah? No tricks?
Scout's honor.
You were a Boy Scout?
Parts of me.
Now, here's my problems with Adam. First of all, I find him undeveloped as a character. I know he's supposed to represent a Frankenstein monster type of character, but is intentionally a murderer. Him being a murderer is where he's undeveloped. First of all, we don't know why he wants to kill humans. We don't know why he killed his first and second victim, but we have here the creative interaction between him and the boy, who was the second victim. The boy confirms Adam to be a monster based on appearance. Now, what lazy writers or fans might say, he's a monster. Does he need a reason to kill? He does say in the scene why he kills.
I was created to kill. To extinguish life wherever I find it.
Sorry, but that is lazy. I know the character formula about the monster that is harmless, but hopefully misunderstood, has been done to death. But what I'm saying is, what if we learnt more about Adam's past? About his life as a human, and his days in the army. Maybe he was a soldier that was bottom of the ranks, like a Gomer Pyle, and he suffered severe persecution by his superiors. He was experimented on, as if he was a lab rat, to try and increase human potential and make better soldiers. Adam could have suffered so much during those experiments, and does recall them as he wakes up in his alternative form. This would give him a reason to want to kill humans or anyone weaker than him, so he would let cyber demons like him rule the world. Making him a tragic character would have made him a better and more developed character, because I don't know anyone that is sick of that character cliche yet. Instead, we have him talking in a calm manner, as we rarely see him lose his temper. They did try to be poetic with some of his dialogue at times, and to give him some personality, rather than a brainless all brawn and no brains character. So yeah, to conclude my thoughts on Adam, looks awesome, but is undeveloped, and needed more upgrades.
Broke your arm.
Got another. I've been upgrading.
Number 2. Dawn. I guess some of you knew this was coming. Yes, Buffy's little sister, who first appeared in season 5. Now for all of you Dawn fans, or those that think Dawn deserves credit, I'll get to explaining her character. As a concept, Dawn was very interesting, and a big surprise at the end of the first episode of season 5. She has a sibling rivalry with her big sister, but is always dominated by her. Sorry to give away the big spoiler, as I'm sure many of you would have figured it out. Dawn isn't really Buffy's sister, but a humanoid form that holds a mystical energy that opens other dimensions. This does make a good plot point for the main antagonist Glory, who does seek the power to return back to her home dimension. Dawn doesn't know this, but does discover the shocking truth, and it does hit her hard. At this point, I will admit that Dawn did become a sympathetic character. If you found out you've been living a lie and a dark secret that was kept from you, I'm sure that's got to sting a lot. So yeah, when Dawn was acting up, it was understandable why she behaved the way she did in that episode. Then we get to the end of season 5, as Dawn will become a main character in the last 2 seasons after. This is where I'm with the fans that do hate her or dislike her. In season 6, we do see Dawn live her rebellious teenage life, where she should have an older sister to depend on. but she can't be there for her because she has her own problems. During season 6, it was creative to have Buffy take on the new responsibility by being a mother to Dawn, who is having financial problems, to support Dawn, including herself. Season 7, Dawn was still raised by Buffy, and would on occasions be taught how to fight and defend herself. We don't get much interactions between Buffy and Dawn, as Buffy would find herself supporting the potentials that filled the house. Now that I've probably overanalyzed Dawn as a character, I should move on to the negatives, why she's number 2 on this list. Many find her annoying, and I will admit, I'm with them on that. But some would say, she's just a teenager. I'm with them on that too. Sure, teenagers could be annoying at times when their teenage angst comes out and they cause pain and misery to others, but then again, they are still in the process of learning not to go down the wrong path in life, and they can still better themselves and finish their studies. I really need to get to the point here. When you create a teenage character that is bratty and troubled, the teenager character has to grow up. And did Dawn do some growing up? Well, sort of, but if there's one character that was a teenager and did the most growing up, it was Cordelia Chase. I got more of a teenager that grew up from her. Other things I don't like about Dawn is in one episode in season 7 called Potential. Willow performs a spell that reveals her potential in Sunnydale, and it's rumoured to be Dawn, and I really hate the way Dawn reacts. She acts paranoid about Buffy dying first. Because when the Slayer dies, a potential Slayer activates. I really don't understand Dawn's behaviour and paranoia. Buffy's endangering her life anyway, so really? Shouldn't Dawn be feeling confident and invigorated to having possible superhuman abilities? Of course we find out Dawn isn't really a potential, but another teenage girl instead. And Dawn expresses some disappointment, which I'll admit is clever. I also didn't like how stubborn she became to everyone, including Buffy, who tried to send her away for her own safety. And what does Buffy get in response? My god, you are so ungrateful, Dawn. I would have liked Dawn to come to a conclusion that she needs to admit she has to listen to others sometimes, because you can learn from others by hearing their point of view. But other than that, I do feel that season 6 and 7 could have run without Dawn. She goes to live with Buffy's father Hank. I know he's not Father of the Year, but I'm sure he's compassionate enough to take care of Dawn. Seeing Buffy as Dawn's guardian in season 5 was enough for me. I didn't think there was much for Dawn to be other than a responsibility for Buffy. I dragged this on for too long, so I'll get to the end. I understand the purpose and intention behind Dawn, but it wasn't executed perfectly. But hey, I'm not saying she's the worst character. I just think now that her run still goes on in the comics, I think it's time to retire her character.
Go, Archie! Okay.
And my number 1 least to worst Buffy character is Riley. Where do I begin here? I've already gave my thoughts on him when I reviewed Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 4. Not to mention in Season 5, where I created an alternative ending where he dies. Those who haven't seen any of my Buffy the Vampire Slayer reviews yet, here you go again. The idea of a military organisation play a big part in the Buffy universe wasn't a bad idea, even though it seems a bit out of place at times. I even created my own Buffy character, who I ended up scrapping. He was this soldier character, cloned to be the perfect soldier, like Solid Snake. That's sort of why I scrapped him, but I'm sure I was unaware that the cloning of perfect soldiers has been done before, in many forms of media. Hearing that Riley was a soldier character sounded awesome and promising. I hoped he would be like my scrap character, but then I would be in for a disappointment. Riley turned out to be the most blandest and boring of the whole Buffy characters. Some would debate and say Riley is the normal nice guy who comes around once in a while, like Xander stated. That too is a good concept if Buffy dated an ordinary human. If Riley had to be a nice guy that would help others through their situations, one thing they shouldn't have done was make him into a fighter type character. If they were going to do that, they need to do at least is give him one-liners and comical moments Well, they did that a few times, but that was rare.
Got your coat.
Hey, Riley! What's the, all about?
It means yell real loud so the vampires who don't know we're coming will have a sporting chance.
Riley, to me, should have had cockiness to his personality. Some would also debate that would make him unlikable. Well, if you look at Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series, we see what a cocky jerk he is at times. But we do, however, find him likable when we see him help those in need and acts friendly to those that aren't hostile to him. That is, to me, who Riley should have been like Nathan Drake. Well, we do sort of have a Nathan Drake in Buffy. Well, more like a lookalike. That Uncharted fans hope that he'll be Nathan Drake in hope to be live-action Uncharted movie. If Joss Whedon wanted him to be a nice guy, then make him a fireman. He's tall enough and strong-looking. Or better yet, why not have Buffy date Xander if you wanted her to have a relationship with a normal guy? Even Xander as a soldier has more of a soldier personality than Riley. So yeah, hate my idea of how a soldier character should be, but don't you prefer a Hollywood cliche gunhole soldier rather than a Ken doll soldier? Now I know Riley does have a small percentage of fans, or those that don't mind him, and I apologise if I offended them. I know we have women that find him attractive, which is good if he appeals to a female audience, but what does he have that appeals to a male audience? I guess to make it up to those that do like him, I will find positive things to say about him. One positive thing I do have about him is the episode where he leaves the show. You might think I'm being cruel here when you assume it's the scene when he leaves in the helicopter that is supposed to be a sad moment. Well, no. I kind of like the thought and heart that was put into that episode, which focuses on how Buffy and Riley's relationship had deteriorated. I even like how Spike makes this point to Riley that maybe he has no future for Buffy, or she doesn't have the same feelings for him. One scene I do like in the episode is when Xander gives a speech to Buffy about Riley, as I've mentioned before, the once-in-a-lifetime guy. His statement is so true, and asks Buffy if she's willing to lose Riley, or at least living with the guilt that they've parted on bad terms. Then, we get the powerful scene where Buffy rushes to catch up with Riley, but unfortunately for her, it's too late, as he takes off, leaving them both in a depressive state. Those are the general reasons I like that episode. Great sentimental story created, but just wished I cared for Riley. Okay, another positive thing I'll admit, which I really hate to admit, I do prefer Buffy and Riley as a couple rather than Buffy and Spike. I'm not sure how much longer I can drag this on for. I've ranted about how messed up of a character concept he is, so now I'll get to my last thoughts on him. Riley may have had those that love him, or just okay with him, but to me as a character, he just bored me silly and was slowly killing the show, with him as one of the main cast. I was more than happy when he left the show, as I'm sure others felt the same way too. So there you have it, my top 10 least to worst Buffy characters. Now, those of you that are offended to see a character you like on the list, I apologise once again. I'd like to assure you that I respect people's opinions as I respect yours. If you want to send me mail defending the character on that list, please do. I'm more interested to hear and learn from you. But I will defend my opinions, as I'm sure you'll do the same. Next time, I'll do my top 10 favourite Buffy characters. But until then, see you all really soon.